Welcome to the Friday question and answer edition of the Daily Voiceover Huddle. What's happening? I'm Bill DeWeese, your host, professional voiceover talent, voiceover coach, voiceover demo producer. Yeah, it's true. You've heard the rumors. I've written a couple of books on the topic. My latest is Get Paid Using Your Voice, Get Found, Get Heard, Get Hired. People are getting this every day to use as the 30,000-foot view roadmap to take you from where you're at to where you want to go in voiceover. So we've got the digital download below. You can get this if you want the paperback. It's on Amazon, but if you want the digital download for less than $10, the link is below in the description. And when you do that, you also begin the opportunity to get the audiobook, which I narrated. Of course, you can't farm out your own audiobook, right? Wouldn't be cool. You also know what today is, right? It's your last chance today to get Rob Ryder's fantastic live announcing class. It's available until midnight tonight. So if you missed the live class on Tuesday, the recording is available today, again, through tonight. So make sure if you're looking to add an extra revenue stream to your voiceover business, your voiceover income, wonderful class, wonderful guy. Check it out. Link below in the description. Also, I want to thank you guys. Yesterday, we set a new world record, at least for this live stream, and that there was 100% participation. Literally everybody on the live stream liked the video while we were live. We've done, I don't know how many of these videos. I've got over 1,300, in the channel, and hundreds we've done live. And I've never had everybody give a like simultaneously during the live stream. We were close to 50 likes yesterday. Dare we go for 2 days in a row? 100% participation? Is it possible? Could it happen? I'm seeing the numbers go up even as I look right now. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that. There we go. Wow, up to 23. We're getting there. I'd appreciate it. It helps boost the algorithm so that people who are looking for good voiceover information will find the stream and get that said good information. So today is designated Q&A day. It's questions and answers. We do this every Friday. I take a few minutes and answer as many questions as I can before I have to get to work in the studio to help you out. Maybe some things you're struggling with, or maybe some things you don't understand, or just need a little clarification on. Put it in the live stream chat and let's take a look and let's just see who we've got. Emma was first in this morning. Congrats, Emma. Good to see you here. We've got Jim checking in from Memphis, home of the Blues. Rob Ryder, whose class is available only through midnight tonight. Checking in from Loveland. Hey, Rob, good morning. Hey, Rick, formerly from Des Moines, now from St. Paul. A rare opportunity to be back on the live stream. And Rick, it's great to have you here today. Hope you're doing well. Terry was wishing everyone a good morning from very hot Fallston, Maryland. Ethan says good morning from humid Toronto, Ontario. Yeah, we are officially now into the second day of the worst month for heat and humidity, or for those of us who like it, the best month for heat and humidity. Jim is asking, what are the filters and effects you use for mouth noises, sibilance, etc.? Well, here's what I use. 3 things. So for mouth noise, what I use, Rob Ryder turned me onto this, iZotope's Mouth Declick. Let me double check, make sure that's what it's called. I believe it's called Mouth Declick because I've got it saved here as a favorite. Yeah, Mouth Declick, iZotope Mouth Declick. It's a pretty aggressive declicker, or it can be. I mean, you set the parameters. I really like that. And then I finish it off with Waves from waves.com, their X-Crackle, X-Crackle, which takes out a little more of the snap, crackle, pop, which gives it a very smooth finish. It's a good way to really refine your audio. For sibilance, those sizzly S's, I use Universal Audio's Precision De-esser. Thank you for asking. Hey, Jason, what's up in Nebraska? Phil's checking in from Tokyo. The summer heat is too much, he says. Phil says it's 95 degrees Fahrenheit and 80% humidity. When humidity is getting almost as high as the temperature, that's when it gets a little bit sticky. Need some tips to stay cool in the recording space when the AC is turned off. Welcome to summer in Japan. Well, Phil, I wish I had magic tricks that I could offer that would take care of that. But what I've done in that situation, and we used to spend a lot of time down in the southern end of South Carolina, just about 6 miles north of Georgia. And what I would do would turn off the AC, and then, just like in here, I don't use any ventilation, never have, from my booth. And it's not bad down here in the basement, but even when I was, second story, no ventilation. I keep it cracked, but what I would do is between takes or when it got to be too much, I just open the door and let air in, or I go outside and I cool off a little bit and I come back in and I close the door and I keep going. Nothing fancy, nothing earth shattering. I just step out of the booth. I'm sorry, I'm looking for where the stream just moved ahead on me while I was giving my answer. There are some like USB fans and some quiet type things like that you might be able to set up to help circulate some air in your studio. Nephi in Knoxville, Rebecca in Michigan, Robert in Lighthouse Point, Florida. We've got GS in Longview. Theo says happy Friday to Bill and all the Lollapalooza Central, aka downtown Chicago. From Lollapalooza Central, aka downtown Chicago. It's a good day to stay inside. I was watching the news last night, and today is day 2 of 4 of Lollapalooza, expecting 100,000 people every day. So if you love music and you love to be around lots of people in the hottest, sweatiest time of year, that is the place to be in Chicago. Thanks for checking in, Theo. Hey, Julie, good morning to you in Pennsylvania. Andrew says good morning from Latvia. It's sunny and pretty hot. Wayne in Port Orchard, Washington. Robert, good morning to you in Indianapolis. Marla in Texas. Jason, Newport, Oregon. Theo says, I just watched Rob Ryder's class recording last night on live announcing. He says in all caps, it's pure gold. Thank you, Theo. Glad you're checking it out. Love that. Aaron, happy Friday from Columbia, Missouri. And by the way, Theo, remember when you become the next air announcer for the Chicago Air and Water Show, and I believe you will, I'm going to be there. I will be there. That's, I don't care where I'm at in the world. I'm coming back. I'm going to be there for that. Aaron, happy birthday to you, or happy Friday to you. Sorry, in Columbia, Missouri. Excuse me. Mark is in Montreal. Tim, good morning in Altoona. Hey, Chris, good morning. Jason says, I hope everyone had a wonderful week and great weekend from Louisiana. And we've got Robert moving from the Bronx, New York. Fanana, good afternoon from Lagos, Nigeria. Well, Fanana, good to have you on today. David, how are you doing? Good morning. What equipment do you use inside your booth? Well, let's start with the microphone, is a Neumann TLM 103 microphone. It goes into Universal Audio Apollo Twin audio interface, which goes into a MacBook Air M2 edition. MacBook Air, 13.5-inch screen. Literally, it's what's sitting right in front of me. I'm not using an external monitor. I'm working right off this tiny little computer screen. There's no fan, so there's no noise. It's perfectly silent. And I've learned to be able to, I set this up as a temporary situation. I was going to bring in a bigger screen. And then I got used to it and I thought, you know what? I work off 13.5 inches fine. And I run everything. The script I'm recording, Adobe Audition, my browser's open in here. If I'm running Source Connect, everything runs off this 13.5 or 13.6 inch screen. So that's what I've got. That's what I've got in here. Hey, John, how are you doing? Happy Friday to you in Denver. Jim in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Tanya in South Philly. Jason says, how many impressions is considered a lot of impressions in a day on Fiverr? Jason, I have no idea. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe I should pay closer attention to my, stats. I don't. I saw yesterday, like my impressions are down like 2,000 over last month, but I don't pay that close attention to it. That would be if you're in the VoiceOver Blueprint, by the way, go to Mallory's live sessions where she talks about all that stuff. And if you want to learn more about Fiverr, I'm on Fiverr and I make a decent amount of money. I just completed a $600 job on Fiverr, so I make some decent money on it. But I don't consider myself like a big expert in all the ins and outs. But Mallory has a course on it. It's called online. You can find it at MalloryFiverrTraining.com. Kathleen in Wyoming. Jolie says, loved watching Mallory's critique of your Fiverr gig. Oh, you know what? Jolie, I haven't even watched it yet. I haven't even seen it. It was terrific. She's amazing. You and your family are so wonderful. Alex really gave great advice on Tuesday on technical processing. Thank you, Jolie. I was thinking about that last night. It's like, I really need to take the time to watch Mallory's, part of Mallory's last Fiverr class. She critiqued my gig and she kind of apologized ahead of time to prepare me. So apparently it wasn't all that wonderful, which you might guess based on my last answer about how many impressions is good. I don't know. I threw my demos up there, I put my gigs up there, and I just do the work, as it comes in. But if it's because it's one small part of my overall marketing plan. If it was a bigger part, I'd probably spend more time on it, and at some point I will. David says, oops, forgot to mention texting from Gardner, Kansas. Andrew, driving to my sister's place, 3 hours to get to the heart of Latvia. Well, Andrew, I hope you have a nice, pleasant, and safe drive. Hey, Jim. Jim says, where do you get it? I'm guessing maybe you're referring to the plugins. Was that you that asked the question earlier? If so, you would get online, iZotope, iZotope.com, and waves.com, waves.com. Fanana's feeling a little intimidated getting on Fiverr because it makes me feel like I don't sound like them. Here's the thing, Fanana. You don't want to sound like everybody else. The great thing is every voice is like a fingerprint or a snowflake. They're very individual. There might be similarities, sure, but people are looking for different. They're not looking for the same. If you sound like somebody else, you're redundant, and that's not helpful. So embrace your voice, your style of communication, because there's a market for that out there. Andrew says, I have an old Fiverr account. Can I use that or make a new account specifically for voiceover? Well, it needs to be specifically for voiceover. So if your current gig is not focused on voiceover, I would, can you even start can you start a new account? I'm not sure that you can. Maybe you can. But I would make it all voiceover for sure. JR says, good morning from Austin, Texas. Kirk, if using a laptop with a fan, is it feasible to set it further away from the mic and use Bluetooth keyboard and mouse with HDMI line to monitor? Yeah, absolutely. That's what I've always done. Up until I use this computer, my computers have sat outside the booth. And then I just ran my cables. I use a USB hub, HDMI cord, and, put a screen monitor in my studio. Because you can't be near that mess. You don't want to be around that noise. Good morning to you, Sandra in Dallas, Fort Worth. Hey, Robert, welcome to my world in Florida, he says to Philip. A small dehumidifier could be useful for changing the feel of the heat. That's a good point, Robert. And Jolie says there's some cooling neck scarves you can wet and the evaporation cools you. You know what? I've got a couple of those. I use them when I golf. They're like these, like almost like a small towel. You get it wet, you wring it out, and they stay really, really cold until they dry out. We've got Katie in London checking in, London, UK. Hey, Katie, good to have you here. Sandra in Worthington, Ohio. What you've said about not using a Gmail address. I was doing some email on LinkedIn and one of the contact forms said it would not accept a Gmail address. Yeah, it's just things like, Gmail are just, when they're free, a lot of scammers use them. It just because they're so easy to use, you can create hundreds or thousands of email addresses. So that's why having your own URL, I think, is really important. Angela, good morning to you in Harmony, North Carolina. Paul's checking in from Pilot Mountain or Mount Pilot. Thanks for what you do, Bill. That's where the Andy Griffith show, that's where that kind of based on that, right? Mayberry was based on Mount Pilot, North Carolina, I believe. Jim, camera is in the computer. Yeah, you're looking at me through the webcam that's in my computer. Think cool while blueprinting, my friends, says Wally in Annapolis. Oh, let's see here. Lee says, I have been trying to make a career out of voice acting since 2009, but have not progressed. Is there still hope? Yeah. Lee, it means you're not doing all the right things. What's the definition of success is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. If you're getting the same results since 2009, then you're not doing something right. And if you haven't spent time on this website, that's a good place to start. Really good. If you haven't picked up this book, if you want a more concise version, it's this. And if you want to get into a deep dive training program, my voiceover blueprint, link below in the description. Dale says, wow, Bill, you have better eyes than me. I could use a seeing eye dog in my booth. By the way, Decatur, Illinois. Well, the great thing, I mean, you can adjust the size. He's talking about my small little, tiny little child-size screen. You can adjust the font size, but I do have pretty good eye. I mean, when I wear contacts, I can see pretty well. Without my contacts, everything's just a big blur. You get used to it. That's the thing. You really do get used to it. Jim says, okay, thanks for the source info. Bob says, if Mallory tore your gigs apart and you're still making six figures, that's good enough for me. Well, yeah. And Bob, full disclosure, I'm not making six figures off Fiverr. I'm making maybe $20,000 a year off of Fiverr. So, and I'm not aggressive with Fiverr. In other words, I'm not always, tweaking my gigs, and they just kind of sit there. And when a job comes in, it comes in. Like I said, I did a job this past week for $600. So that was cool. I mean, that was great. That was better than average. And, hopefully I'll get a job next week. I get a job every week or two, something like that. Whereas Mallory's doing multiple jobs a day. I mean, she's killing it. Robert, the scarves don't evaporate or cool in our Florida humidity, unfortunately. Alex says, in competition for being the last comment today. Well, you're far from being the last. There's a lot of, let's see here. Let me just see if there's anybody I've missed here. Chris is taking the family to Chicago next week for a family vacation, hoping to catch a game at Wrigley and some good pizza. Well, I don't know if you'll find any good baseball in Chicago, but you will find some good pizza in Chicago. May I recommend my personal favorite, Giordano's, followed by Gino's, if you like Chicago deep dish. If you're coming to Chicago for pizza, you got to check out the deep dish. Heather in Chattanooga. Let's see here. Mayberry is based on Mount Airy in North Carolina, says Jim. Bob in Wadsworth, Ohio, checking in. Andrew says, can I use basic recording device to record DIY demo? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by basic recording device, but you don't need a lot of extra stuff. You have a microphone into a computer or microphone into a recording device. Yes, you'll need to edit it on a computer in an editing program, though. Happy Friday from Patty in Palm Desert, California. Good morning, Dacia. All right, we've got 38 likes, 39 people on. Amazing. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for the likes. Again, this is going to help get the word out to more people, and we want to grow this channel to do just that. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back on Monday morning. We will see you then.